What if everything you thought you knew about childhood was a lie? We're told that childhood is a sanctuary, a time of innocence, laughter, and unconditional love. But what happens when that sanctuary is shattered? What if, instead of playgrounds and bedtime stories, a child's world is filled with secrets, betrayals, and the constant need to survive? This is the story that rarely gets told. The story of a child who grew up too fast, and in the process, forged a mind sharper, colder, and more calculating than most adults could ever imagine. Most people never see the moment innocence is lost. It doesn't happen in a single dramatic instant. It's a slow erosion, a series of small betrayals, and silent lessons. The child learns to read faces before words, to sense danger in a raised voice, to hide pain behind a practiced smile. While other kids are learning to share and play fair, this child is learning to anticipate threats, to manipulate outcomes, to survive at any cost. This is where the Machiavellian mind is born, not in the halls of power, but in the shadows of a broken home or the chaos of a world that doesn't care. Today, we're going to peel back the mask and reveal the hidden process that transforms vulnerability into ruthless intelligence. If you think you understand what makes someone cunning, think again. The truth is darker and far more fascinating than you've ever been told. But to understand the mind, we have to start with the moment everything changed. Every Machiavellian mind has an origin story, a moment, or a series of moments that shattered the illusion of safety and force, a child to see the world for what it really is. For some, it's a single, unforgettable betrayal. For others, it's a slow drip of neglect, 1,000 tiny cuts that bleed away trust and hope. But the result is always the same, the end of innocence, and the birth of something far more complex. Imagine a child waiting by the window, watching for a parent who never comes home. Hours pass, then days, and the realization sets in. No one is coming to save you. Or maybe it's the sting of a broken promise. The first time you realize that words can be weapons, and that love can be conditional. Sometimes, it's the chaos of a household where anger is currency and silence is survival. The details change, but the lesson is universal. The world is not safe, and trust is a luxury you can't afford. Mainstream self-help tells us that adversity builds character, that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But here's the hidden truth. Sometimes, adversity doesn't build character, it builds armor. The child learns to scan every room for threats, to read every gesture for hidden meaning. Hyper-awareness becomes second nature. You stop asking for help because you know it won't come. You stop showing weakness because you know it will be used against you. This is the shattering moment, the point where the child stops believing in fairy tales and starts writing their own rules. It's not a choice, it's a necessity. The seeds of distrust are planted deep, and from them grows a mind that is always calculating, always watching, always a step ahead, while other kids are dreaming about what they want to be when they grow up. This child is already learning how to survive in a world that rewards cunning over kindness. If you've ever felt that moment, the instant you realized you were on your own, you know exactly how powerful it is. It changes you forever. And it's only the beginning, because once the illusion is shattered, the next step is to build a new self, one that can't be hurt so easily. That's where the mask begins to form. After the shattering moment, survival becomes an art form. The child quickly learns that showing pain or fear is an invitation for more of the same. Vulnerability, once a natural part of being human, now feels like a liability, a weakness to be hidden at all costs. So, the child begins to construct a mask, piece by piece, each layer designed to shield the raw, wounded self from a world that has already proven itself dangerous. This mask isn't just a facade, it's a carefully engineered tool. On the outside, it might look like confidence, indifference, or even charm. On the inside, it's a fortress of calculation and control. The child studies people the way a chess player studies the board, anticipating moves, memorizing patterns, learning which expressions earn approval and which ones invite attack. Every smile is measured. Every word is weighed. The mask becomes both protection and weapon, allowing the child to navigate social minefields without ever revealing what's really going on beneath the surface. Mainstream advice tells us to be ourselves, to embrace authenticity as the path to happiness. But for the Machiavellian mind, authenticity is a luxury reserved for the safe and the naive. The hidden truth is that sometimes the only way to survive is to become a master of disguise. The mask is not a lie, it's a necessity, forged in the fires of experience and sharpened by every betrayal. Over time, the mask becomes second nature. The child learns to mirror the emotions of others, to say what people want to hear, to blend in or stand out as the situation demands. This isn't manipulation for the sake of cruelty. It's adaptation. The mask allows the child to move through the world without being constantly wounded, to gather information, to test boundaries, and to control outcomes. It's a silent promise. No one will ever see the real you unless you choose to let them. But the mask is not without its costs. The more convincing it becomes, the harder it is to remember where the mask ends and the real self begins. Still, for the child who grew up too fast, this is the only way forward. And as the mask solidifies, a new skill emerges. The ability to influence, to manipulate, to bend situations to one's will. This is where the art of manipulation truly begins. By the time the child becomes a young adult, the mask is no longer just a shield. It's a toolkit. Years of watching, listening, and adapting have honed a set of skills that most people never even realize exist. While others stumble through social situations, hoping for acceptance or approval, the Machiavellian mind is already 3 moves ahead, quietly shaping outcomes from behind the scenes. It starts with observation. The young adult has learned to read people with uncanny precision. Every micro-expression, every hesitation, every slip of the tongue is a clue. Most people take words at face value, but the Machiavellian mind knows that real intentions are hidden in the details. Is someone's smile a genuine sign of warmth or a mask for resentment? Is a compliment sincere or a calculated move? This hyper-awareness isn't just a habit. It's a survival mechanism developed in response to a world where trust is dangerous and information is power. Next comes mimicry. The Machiavellian doesn't just observe, they adapt. They mirror the body language, speech patterns, and emotional states of those around them, creating a sense of familiarity and trust. This isn't about flattery or empty charm. It's about blending in, lowering defenses, and gathering intel. When you reflect someone's energy back at them, they feel understood, even if you're only playing a role. It's a subtle form of control, and most people never notice it's happening. But the real power lies in manipulation. Mainstream culture demonizes manipulation, painting it as inherently evil or malicious. The hidden truth is that manipulation is simply influence, an ability to shape perceptions, guide decisions, and engineer outcomes. For the Machiavellian mind, manipulation is not about cruelty. It's about survival and advantage. It's the difference between being a pawn and being a player. The psychological tools of Machiavellianism are as varied as they are effective. There's strategic vulnerability, revealing just enough weakness to elicit sympathy or lower someone's guard, while keeping true intentions hidden. There's selective honesty, mixing truth with lies to make deception more believable. There's the art of the double bind, presenting choices that all lead to the same desired outcome. And, perhaps most importantly, there's emotional detachment, the ability to make decisions without being clouded by guilt or sentimentality. These tools aren't learned from books or seminars. They're forged in the crucible of necessity. The Machiavellian mind knows that in a hostile world, Kindness is often exploited, and naivety is punished. So, every interaction becomes a game of strategy. Who holds the power? What does each person want? How can the situation be steered to your advantage? This is the art of manipulation, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a means of survival and self-preservation. It's a skill set that can open doors, win allies, and neutralize threats. But it comes at a cost. The more you rely on these tools, the more you risk losing touch with genuine connection and trust. And as the young adult moves deeper into this world of strategy and control, a new question emerges. What is the true price of power? Power, for the Machiavellian mind, is both a shield and a prison. On the surface, it looks like victory, control over situations, influence over people, the ability to bend reality to your will. But beneath that surface, there's a cost that few ever see. The same skills that protect you from harm also isolate you from genuine connection. The mask that once kept you safe now keeps you alone. Loneliness is the first and most persistent price. When every interaction is a calculation, every relationship a potential threat, it becomes nearly impossible to let your guard down. Friends become assets or liabilities, never true confidants. Even moments of laughter or intimacy are shadowed by suspicion. Are they being real with me, or just playing their own game? The Machiavellian mind, so skilled at reading others, becomes haunted by the idea that everyone else is wearing a mask too. Paranoia follows close behind. When you've spent years anticipating betrayal, it's hard to believe in loyalty. Trust becomes a foreign language, one you can understand intellectually, but never truly speak. Every compliment is dissected for hidden motives. Every promise is weighed against the likelihood of disappointment. The world becomes a chessboard, and you're always looking for the next move, the next threat, the next escape route. Mainstream culture glamorizes power, painting it as the ultimate goal. But the hidden truth is that power, when built on manipulation and emotional detachment, is a lonely throne. The Machiavellian mind is always on guard, always strategizing, never able to relax into the comfort of real connection. The very skills that once felt like superpowers now feel like chains. And yet, for many, this is the only reality they know. The suffering is hidden, masked by confidence and control. But deep down, there's a longing for something more, a desire to be seen, understood, and accepted without having to play a role. The question is, after building a life on strategy and survival, is it even possible to break free? Or is the price of power simply too high to ever go back? To answer that, we have to look at the crossroads every Machiavellian mind eventually faces. Continue down the path of control, or risk everything for a chance at something real. At some point, every Machiavellian mind stands at a crossroads. After years of living behind the mask, mastering the art of manipulation, and paying the price of isolation, a choice emerges, one that will define the rest of their life. Do you break the cycle and risk vulnerability for the hope of genuine connection? Or do you double down, embracing the dark path for the sake of power and strategic advantage? The first path is the road less traveled, breaking free. It begins with self-awareness, a willingness to look honestly at the armor you've built and the reasons you built it. This isn't about blaming yourself for the past. It's about understanding how your environment shaped your instincts. Healing starts when you recognize that the mask, once necessary for survival, may now be holding you back. It's a slow, often painful process. You have to relearn how to trust, how to let people in, how to risk being hurt. You have to accept that not everyone is out to get you, and that some people are capable of real loyalty and love. This path isn't for the faint of heart. It means letting go of the illusion of total control. It means facing the wounds you've hidden for years and allowing yourself to feel what you've spent a lifetime avoiding. But the reward is profound. The possibility of authentic relationships, true intimacy, and a sense of peace that no amount of power can buy. You begin to see that strength isn't just about outsmarting others. It's about having the courage to be seen as you truly are. The second path is the one most people never admit to considering: embracing the Machiavellian mindset fully. Here, you accept that the world is a battlefield, and you choose to become a master strategist. You refine your skills, sharpen your instincts, and use every tool at your disposal to get ahead. You see relationships as transactions, emotions as leverage, and trust as a weakness to be exploited. This path can bring success, influence, and a sense of invulnerability. You become the person others fear, respect, or envy. But this path has its own consequences. The more you rely on manipulation, the more isolated you become. The mask becomes permanent, and the line between your true self and your persona blurs until you're not sure which is which. You may win the game, but you risk losing your soul in the process. The victories are real, but so is the emptiness that follows. The truth is, there's no easy answer. Both paths require sacrifice. Breaking the cycle demands vulnerability and the willingness to heal. Embracing the path of power demands the acceptance of loneliness and the loss of innocence. The choice is yours, and it's one that only you can make. So, which will you choose? Will you risk everything for a chance at something real? Or will you master the game and accept the cost? The next move is yours, and it will shape your destiny. You've just traveled through the hidden corridors of a mind shaped by survival, strategy, and the loss of innocence. We've uncovered how a child, forced to grow up too fast, can become a master of masks and manipulation, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of pain. But the real power isn't just in knowing these dark strategies. It's in understanding where they come from and what they cost. Most people will never see the truth behind the mask. They'll judge the Machiavellian mind as cold or ruthless, never realizing the scars beneath the surface. But now you know better. You've seen how trauma can forge intelligence, how distrust can breed hyper-awareness, and how the pursuit of power can lead to both triumph and isolation. This awareness is your edge. It's the first step to breaking cycles, protecting yourself, or, if you choose, mastering the game on your own terms. So, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you use it to heal, to connect, or to outmaneuver the world around you? Drop your answer in the comments. Your story might be the key that helps someone else. If you found value in this journey, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're hungry for more forbidden insights into the psychology of power, manipulation, and self-mastery, stick around. The next revelation is just around the corner.